All right, friends, let's talk about new court filings regarding everyone's favorite national scam, Doge. Because it was such a great idea to give the world's most morally corrupt and richest man on the planet complete control over reforming our government. But instead of reform, we all know Doge gave us one of the most expensive, reckless, and incompetent federal failures in modern American history. And yet we are still learning the true cost of all of the damage. And bear with me here because we have a lot to unpack. But when you see what the Trump administration had to admit in their latest court filings, oh boy. But I want to start with something here. It's a number that Doge and the Trump administration doesn't want you to remember. $10 billion. That is the estimated taxpayer cost just in back pay and paid leave for federal workers who were pushed out, sidelined, or improperly removed under Doge. And then they had to be paid anyway. It amounts to about 7% of the federal workforce, paid $10 billion with zero productivity to show for it. That is true government efficiency. We've seen in a letter to the GAO, the Government Accountability Office, the Public Employees for Environmental Responsibility, they're known as PEER, called this dysfunction plainly illegal and profoundly wasteful. These Doge-triggered workforce actions resulted in tens of thousands of federal employees being placed on paid administrative leave, furloughed improperly, or terminated in ways that didn't hold up legally. And we know that this is just par for the course. Doge failed and screwed over the American public at a historic scale. Heck, even the conservative Cato Institute, and they're not exactly a Marxist book club, admitted that Doge did not reduce spending, but it did reduce the federal workforce. Of course, Cato found a way to spin that into a positive, saying, cutting the federal workforce is nothing to sneeze at, and Musk should look more positively on Doge's impact. That's pretty laughable. But the Doge story keeps getting worse. Months ago, digital rights experts were waving red flags about Doge misusing the data they had access to. The Electronic Frontier Foundation warned that consolidating these vast amounts of government data into fewer hands, especially politically motivated hands, dramatically increase the risk of abuse, misuse, and outright theft. They specifically cautioned that when sensitive systems like Social Security records, tax records, and benefits data are pulled together and accessed by non-career personnel like guys named Big Balls, you create dangerous surveillance and exploitation risks. And here's what the EFF said about this consolidation of data. Marginalized groups are most vulnerable to this kind of abuse, including to locate individuals for immigration enforcement using tax records. Government records could also be weaponized against people who receive food subsidies, apply for student loans, or take government jobs. Congress recognized these dangers 50 years ago when it passed the Privacy Act to put strict limits on the government's use of large databases. At that time, trust in the government eroded after revelations about the White House enemies list, misuse of existing government personality profiles, and surveillance of opposition political groups. It's like they spelled it out for us months ago. The EFF and others found that Doge's actions were so dangerous that they sued, with the court issuing a preliminary injunction halting the sharing of data back in June, thank God. As an update, back in December, this lawsuit was still going forward, and that's the last action we can see there. But wait, there's more, like a bad Billy Mays commercial, because the Trump administration made a stunning admission. And this didn't happen on Truth Social, but in a federal court filing in a separate case. In that filing, the administration conceded that Doge personnel had broader access to Social Security data than they previously acknowledged. And this filing states that some of these Doge workers were granted access to non-public Social Security Administration systems, including your sensitive personal data, raw personal information. Names, identifiers, and records that were protected by layers of security for a reason. And here's the part that's going to make everyone's blood boil. This keeps getting worse. The administration acknowledged that their controls were insufficient, oversight was lax, and access permissions were far broader than necessary. This Trump-run Social Security Administration handed the keys to one of the most sensitive databases in our federal government to an unaccountable team with zero guardrails. Is it bad enough yet for you? Nope, because it's getting even worse. Members of this DOJ team worked to share your data, your highly sensitive data, with election deniers. We're going to look at the court filing. This was filed on January 16th, and it says that the Social Security Administration determined in its recent review that in March 2025, a political advocacy group contacted two members of SSA's DOJ team with a request to analyze state voter rolls that the advocacy group had acquired. The advocacy group stated that their aim was to find evidence of voter fraud and overturn election results in certain states. In connection with these communications, one of the DOJ team members signed a voter data agreement in his capacity as a Social Security Administration employee with the advocacy group. Let that sink in for a minute. The same administration that is still screaming nonstop about election integrity gave Social Security data to people aligned with election denial movements and zero oversight. And this isn't like no one saw it coming. We warned that Social Security data was being intentionally segregated, firewalled, and restricted because misuse would be catastrophic. And that if you combined those records with voter records, immigration records, or any other data set, it would be misused. And we warned that letting political operatives and tech disruptors anywhere near this data would be reckless. We warned that DOJ, they weren't staffed by neutral civil servants, but by donors, by loyalists, and people with absolutely zero experience like big balls, no meaningful background in public data, no experience in federal privacy protections, no accountability. But you bet they had complete access to your data. And this is what happens. This is what happens when you confuse chest thumping for competence. It's what the Trump administration does best. Meanwhile, Elon Musk, he got exactly what he wanted. Influence, a few slices of white supremacy sprinkled into government policy like prioritizing white South African refugees, and a bunch of federal oversight and investigations disappeared. Imagine the world's richest man, the world's most morally corrupt man, being handed the keys to our complete government infrastructure. This is a man whose business model depends on hoarding data, extracting leverage, and monetizing access. He's not an inventor, he's a scam artist. This is a man currently under scrutiny for his labor abuses, for his market manipulation, and he always platforms disinformation and racist tropes. And yep, of course, this all ended in disaster. And we don't know if we can undo all of this damage. But we are keeping track. According to these widely reported numbers, the Department of Government Efficiency so far looks to have mismanaged $21.7 billion in government contracts and personnel. They caused roughly $135 billion in economic damage. They left critical government departments, including in the Department of Defense, utterly broken. They've triggered countless lawsuits, they've lied to courts, and that's all leading to massive reversals and legal fees. They contributed to as many as 720,000 worldwide deaths through U.S. aid cuts. They failed to reduce spending. They failed to make anything more efficient. And now we know they misused our data for ridiculous political moves like election conspiracies and immigration crackdowns. It's just taxpayer-funded vandalism. All just so Elon could try to get people to like him and try to laugh at his stupid two hats and all of his stupid jokes. And now, we have it in black and white, admitted to by the Trump regime and filed in our courts. Hey guys, I know that everyone is asking you to like, subscribe, comment, share, etc. But I'm telling you right now, we really need your help. It's no secret that all the tech bros are cozy with the current regime, and big digital and legacy media companies are bowing at the altar of government. So it's no surprise that independent liberal media like us is being underserved by the algorithms. So if you're like me and you see your feed constantly overrun with right-wing crap, it's no accident. So if you're tired of that and want to see more content like us, be sure to interact, engage with all the creators and channels you support. It doesn't take much time to click that thumbs up or drop us a comment or hit the subscribe button. But it does help us fight back against the overreach of an administration that's scared of the truth.